So, hello there. This is Narcissist Ninjas. It's so glad to be back to try to do one of these videos. So much has happened, right? So much has happened. I've been keeping up with everything. It's been a brutal couple of months for me. I'm having some health stuff going on. Also, my one of my best friends in the world passed away. It was a shocker, but it's reality as we're getting older, right? I've come to accept it now. It hit me pretty hard when it first happened, but um, I'm easing into it a little better. But when someone's just not there anymore to talk to, and my circle is very, very small after everything that I've been through and different situations. I just don't open up to a whole lot of people. I talk to everyone. I'm always talking to new people, but to really feel connected. And this friend that passed was like one of my best friends in the world. Like, she knew everything for over 40 years. So it was a tough pill to swallow, but I didn't get to share the wonderful news of Johnny Depp's winnings with her. We were both, I think she would have understood that I was totally in my glee the day it happened. I dressed up like a pirate, made some videos for TikTok. It was a good feeling to release that energy, as I'm sure as it looked. I can't believe the amount of coverage it's gotten. That's amazing. And really seeing like the YouTube community that was with Johnny from the very beginning, they're not getting enough credit as far as I'm concerned. And I believe was because of them that this all came out. Like, they kept pushing, they kept talking about it, and I believe, who knows, but I believe it really encouraged Johnny to keep going when he saw that support and he saw that people really understood what he was going through. And I'm not going to even do any research on this one. I'm just going to talk a little bit. Usually I put out, it's all about research, blah, blah, blah. But I want to just put my opinion on this one. And listen, I studied women's studies in college. I went to a feminist-based, well, it was a women's-based college. Really, back when I went there, I think it's changed somewhat. Any men that went to the college I went to for my BA had to have special, like, they had to have permission to get in, and they just didn't let anyone in. And so women's rights for me for many years were very important to me. And Gloria Steinem came to our college when I went. Like, I'd really I haven't seen her voice out. She's still around and she still gives her opinion now and then. I would like to know what she thinks about this situation, because I don't like, what's really pissing me off the most is Amber Turd is bringing out the thing about women's rights. Oh, women's rights. Women is going to be set back. No. The only thing that set women back in this situation was her. Let us get this right. Let us get this situation right. And I've heard it, most people that have half a brain understand that. But we have this segment of society, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with her PR campaign, right? Those new people that she hired, they're trying to infiltrate their opinion in there and say, oh, she's because of this case, women are not believed. Yeah, you're damn right. Because a liar got up there as a woman and defamed someone in a way that was not right. And she basically, to me, it was extortion. It was robbery, trying to rob him. That's how I look at it. And like, don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah, Johnny Depp to me, it has a sweet spirit. Listen, he's no angel. He's no angel. And I believe there was some kind of reactive abuse going on. And we will never know the details, but you can tell who the aggressor was in that situation. It's not hard to tell, right? So it's just really maddening to hear her go on about women's rights and, you know, back in the day, women's lib, right? Again, this is not what the women's movement is about. So, like I said, you know, this whole Me Too thing started on some very basic, honest, good premises where I thought it was great. You know, you were picking up some of these hardcore abusers in Hollywood, like Weinstein and the other guy, you know, like in all these different guys that were coming out. I'm talking about the guy that, you know, died in jail, Epstein, right? So, you know, and all these ugly, horrible men who were abusing women were coming out. Then it took a left turn, and every man was an abuser, and stories started to come out about different things. When I first heard about Johnny Depp, I was like, what? It just never in my mind had the character to be what they were saying he was, that he was put in that category. And like I said, I know he's heavy into drugs, and I know he has issues, and you can tell to me, it's probably, he's the one with PTSD, I would possibly assume, and he had a lot of trauma. And I didn't know all that stuff about his childhood and about the abuse he suffered as a kid. And I think, you know, like me, in my life, I didn't deal with my abuse and different things that happened to me in my childhood and the traumas I had. So my relationships were the shit. And I picked people that were dysfunctional, that confirmed to me that I didn't deserve to be loved. That was my pattern. And I can see myself in him a whole lot. And even with the anger outbursts, because you get so frustrated, you know, you're going along and you know things are not right, and you loathe yourself, and then add alcohol to it, and yeah, there's outbursts and different things. I'm not, you know, saying that everything he did was right, and I do believe he needs help, and I hope he gets it. I think his biggest thing is that he needs to find some self-love. And to me, it's the hardest thing you can ever do in your life, is to, after a life like this and a lot of narcissism around you, it is very hard to come at later in life and start learning to love yourself for the first time. It's very vulnerable. I find sometimes I'm driving down the road and I get flashbacks and I just start crying. I'm thinking, damn, I'm on a red light, boo-hon, and the car next to me probably thinks I'm just like having a breakdown or whatever. But it's just a matter of processing a lot of things that I never allowed myself to process over the years. And I can see a lot of that in Johnny Depp. And these crazy people that are coming out, and supporting an abuser, to me, if you analyze those people, they all got some dysfunctions going on around them. And what I have learned in my past dealing with narcissism and my studies and everything, people who gravitate to the true narcissists, like Turd, are either narcissists themselves, and they just enjoy being that flying monkey because they have no power themselves. So they try to get some supply and power off that person. Or they have been so traumatized in life that they cannot get a handle on it. So they gravitate still to the abuser. It's like almost like the Stockholm syndrome thing, which I've always said I want to do a video on that. But It's another idea I have. I want to just put some information out about that. So very interesting, and had a good laugh, to be honest with you. This was like, I love seeing the humor in this because it's so horrible. You know, that man, but if he had stayed there, he probably wouldn't have made it. He probably would have kept boozing it to excess. And what these animals do is that they push you towards your weaknesses. If you are an alcoholic, if you are have a problem with drugs, they will push you further that way. They will not in any way support your recovery process. So I don't blame him when for not focusing on his recovery while in that relationship, because when you are in a relationship with a narcissist, they keep poking you and pushing you towards addiction. I know my ex, I haven't drank in years and years, and my ex really encouraged me to go to bars and to, I mean, I go to bars a lot, you know, for music. I love music and stuff. That's different. But he would encourage me when I was upset to even possibly take drinks. You know, he just had a way of, he would do it very subtly, but his hope was that I would fall into addiction like I was when I was younger. And I could tell that that's the way he wanted me to go, because when a person is involved with drugs and alcohol to that level, they are easier to control. I mean, think of it. When you look at Johnny Depp, anytime you've seen him drunk, most of the time he was passed out. So yeah, she got all the control. He's passed out. She can go get all his money. She can do whatever, right? She can go cheat on him, whatever. It's just very, very scary, the whole process. And I'm glad he's out. I hope we see him recovering. You can tell, I can tell just by looking at him, he has aged quite a bit in a couple of years. If you look at him, how he looked at the beginning of when he met that animal, and then how he looks now, you can tell it's been a struggle. And I mean, yeah, it's part of the aging process, but you know, he's been through some stressful, hard times. Well, I didn't want to say a whole lot, only that I think this is a disgusting use and manipulation of the women's movement. And you know what? I'm not sure the women's movement is that strong right now. If Me Too is the representation of it, I can't get with it. I'm sorry. I just can't. If you allow a person like Amber Heard to represent women's rights and the forward movement of women in society, no, I'm not down with that. No way. That is not what I learned what women's rights were about back when I was learning about women's studies and politics for women. So I'm not getting down with that at all. It's disgusting. It's totally disgusting that that's a so-called representation of women's rights. So I don't know where we're heading in that department. The world is just a mess in general. It's very confusing. I believe we are in post-pandemic crisis. I believe a lot of people have mental health issues. I feel everyone is grasping at straws or going all in different directions, and there's not a lot of cohesiveness left. And you know what seems to be happening is individuals are starting to rise up and speak up And we're doing it in different ways, like doing it on YouTube, doing it on these social media platforms. Maybe in the communities, we're getting a little better at communicating with our neighbors, things like that. We have to take control of this mess. You know, there's no one going to save us. It's a crisis. I don't know how. I hope it doesn't get worse, and it can. I just hope it doesn't. I'm just glad we have a little bit of justice here. That group over there are just going to like hammer and claw and scream and make a whole lot of mess and try to disrupt things. They're not going to get anywhere. They're not going to get anywhere. It's going to be very interesting to see how she ends up reacting to all this. And just so glad to see it. So glad to see it. And it will always say, you know, some of us that wanted to take our abusers to court couldn't afford it, couldn't go through the process, the mental stress, all of that, and didn't have the supports around us like Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was in the ideal place to do it, to take a narcissist to court, and he did it the right way by being silent the whole time. And then he just came out, all of the information, he saved it until he got to court. That's how you do it. You silently sneak up on them and boom, give them all the truth and all the facts. Because what they do, they try to wear you down. If he had done any kind of media between the time he was preparing for court and to the time he got to court, she would have really harassed him and made it really worse. So he did it excellent. And he had the best legal team. I mean, I didn't get justice for my situation, but looking at that, I feel I did, because if my abuser was looking at that, he knows that he was Amber Heard in a male body. So to me, it's a little bit of justice. I know it's kind of fruity how I'm trying to explain it, but it was almost like we are vindicated. We see someone finally being held accountable. And I think it's going to be a snowball effect. Just you watch. It's going to keep happening. And not only are we going to get more justice, but we're going to see more narcissists coming out. And people, this has been an eye-opener for a lot of people that don't understand narcissism. This has been an eye-opening and an education for them. Because some people are like, what the heck is going on? Unless you've been in that situation, it does look crazy. And it was crazy. But when you get sucked into it and you've been there and you've been in those kinds of dynamics, you can see it so clearly. And that's why I'm actually happy to see that like 90% or more of the world understands the abuse cycle and understands narcissism. So it's actually a good thing. And I wish all the best for Depp, for sure.